Okay, so picture this. You're in a high-end boutique running your hand over this buttery, soft leather jacket, and the scent alone just whispers luxury. Ever wonder who's the mastermind behind taking that piece from, like, concept to reality?
It really is a fascinating journey. It's not just about the design, it's this whole symphony of logistics and craftsmanship and business savvy, really.
Totally. And that's exactly where our deep dive takes us today. We're exploring the world of a leather goods production manager, and our guide for this is RoleCatcher. It's like our career crystal ball for this deep dive.
Yeah, it's really more than just a title, you see. This role is like the backbone of that entire manufacturing process.
Right. And RoleCatcher really emphasized that. We're not just talking about like supervising a workshop here. This is about overseeing everything from those initial design sketches to the final product, landing in a customer's hands.
Absolutely. And that means wearing a lot of hats. A leather goods production manager is juggling production schedules, coordinating with different departments, and just making sure everything stays on track to meet deadlines.
Talk about pressure. And it's not even just about keeping things moving. It's also about maintaining that high standard of quality that luxury goods are known for, right?
Oh, absolutely. Rollcatcher actually uses a great quote to sum it up, they say. The job entails planning, distributing, and coordinating all necessary activities, envisaging the accomplishment of the quality standards and production and productivity predefined goals.
Okay, that's a mouthful. But it really shows how multifaceted this role is. So for someone who, thrives on a challenge, maybe enjoys a bit of organized chaos,
Yeah.
this could be a dream job.
hmm
We'll get into the specifics of that day-to-day look like in a bit. But first, there's,
Well, there's another layer to this that's becoming increasingly crucial in today's world, right? And that's sustainability and ethical sourcing.
oh, right. And RoleCatcher definitely honed in on that. Consumers are more aware than ever about where their products are coming from and the impact of those choices.
Exactly. So imagine having to navigate the complexities of the leather industry's supply chains,
Right.
while also making sure that there are responsible and ethical practices happening every step of the way.
That's a whole other skill set on top of everything else. It sounds like a demanding role, but the level of impact you can have, both on the product and the industry, is incredible. What do you think? Does this sound like the kind of job that, like, gets your gears turning? So you might be thinking, right, that this job is all about design, like
Yeah.
having a keen eye for design, or like a deep appreciation for fine leather. And while those things are great to have, RoleCatcher points out some surprising skills that are just as important for success.
Yeah, it's true. A love for leather goods, it's a great starting point. But at the end of the day, it's that analytical skill set that really sets a leather goods production manager apart.
Okay, so we're talking spreadsheets and data analysis, not just sketching the next, like, best-selling handbag.
Exactly. And remember, you're leading this complex production process. And Rollcatcher found that managers actually spend a lot of their time, knee deep in production data. They're identifying bottlenecks, using those insights to make things more efficient.
So it's all about the numbers. RoleCatcher actually said that 70% of a manager's time
Mm.
is about monitoring and assessing performance, just to find ways to improve.
Yeah, it's definitely a data-driven role. But you can't forget the importance of, good leadership and communication too. Think about it. You're managing a team, you're working with different departments, and you have to make sure that everyone's on the same page. They're working together to make this really high quality product.
It's like you're conducting an orchestra, but instead of instruments, you're working with people and deadlines and materials. Speaking of coordination, RoleCatcher throws in a bit of a curveball here. They highlight the importance of having good math skills for this role.
Yeah, it might seem a little surprising at first, but when you really think about it, it makes sense, right? Budgeting and resource allocation are really important in any manufacturing job, especially when you're working with, such high quality, expensive materials like leather.
So it's more than just figuring out the cost of all the goods. You need to think about the raw materials. And then there's labor costs. And on top of that,
Yeah.
how do we minimize waste and maximize efficiency?
Exactly, exactly. Imagine this. You're tasked with making a bunch of those trendy bucket bags, right about. You need to understand the geometry of the pattern pieces and figure out the best way to arrange them on the leather hide to make sure there's as little waste as possible. That's where your math skills are really important. It's about using your resources wisely, and that ultimately affects, the bottom line.
It's like this high-stakes game of Tetris, but instead of blocks, it's designer patterns and premium leather. So a leather goods production manager, it seems like they need a whole bunch of skills. They need to be creative, they need to be analytical, and they need to be good with numbers.
That's right. It's a combination of all of those things. And for anyone who's interested in this kind of career and wondering how to get started, RoleCatcher has some great advice about that too.
Okay, tell me everything. I'm ready to climb this leather-bound ladder of success. Where do we begin? So we're back and ready to figure out how to actually land a job as cool as this sounds.
Oh, it's definitely a competitive field, but that's where technology like RoleCatcher can be a game changer, really.
Okay, because, yeah, gone are the days of just like, sprucing up your resume and crossing your fingers.
Exactly. You need to find a way to stand out, and that's where AI comes in. RoleCatcher is like almost like a personal headhunter,
Yeah.
It looks at your skills, analyzes them, and then matches you with jobs that fit your profile.
So no more endlessly scrolling through job boards. Sign me up.
Right. It takes out all the guesswork. And here's the best part. It doesn't just find you jobs, it also helps you tailor your resume for each application. So
Mhm.
you can be sure that you're highlighting the right skills, using the right keywords to get noticed by those algorithms.
It's like having a secret weapon for your resume.
Yeah.
But then isn't there a risk of, like, getting lost in a sea of other perfectly optimized resumes?
Right. And that's where the human touch comes in. Technology can open doors, but it's your unique skills and experience and your passion that will really make you stand out.
That it factor that algorithms just can't replicate. And speaking of it factors, RoleCatcher mentioned a feature that helps with interview prep, right?
Yeah, definitely. They have this tool where you can practice your interview skills, like in a real setting. And you even get feedback, too. It's a great way to get more confident and, improve your approach.
So we've got the tools, we've got the skills, the drive. What's the final takeaway for our listeners who want to become leather goods production managers?
I'd say use technology to your advantage, but don't forget about the human side of things. Your ingenuity, your passion for the craft, that's what really makes the leather goods industry special. This blend of innovation and tradition.
Beautifully said. Well, there you have it. Our deep dive into the role of a leather goods production manager. We've talked about the challenges, the rewards, and even some surprising skills you need to succeed.
It's a career that really combines artistry, analytical thinking, and a commitment to ethical, sustainable practices.
And who knows? Maybe one of our listeners will be designing the next must-have handbag or leather jacket. As always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive, and we'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.